one, tarnation!
I meant to do that.
Hello folks, this is Apple Geek, and we are up to Season 9, Episode 21. The last couple episodes have been awesome, and according to the hype from my friends, the awesomeness is continuing, so hopefully this one does not disappoint. Let's give it a watch and find out. Episode 21, starting now. Oh, Fluttershy going to Rainbow Dash's house. Daring Do book?
I just stopped by to thank you for letting me borrow your Daring Do books. I love them.
Wait till you get
That-
to Daring Do and the Riddle of the Sphinx!
That's new.
This is actually my second time through. I read them all, from Daring Do and the
Binge
Sunflower
reading?
Statue to Daring Do and the Fallen Idol.
Fallen Idol?
Wow.
That's not in the series.
Wait, what?
Oh, it just came out last week. Maybe that's why you haven't heard of it?
No way! Daring Do's biggest fan, me, would miss a book coming out.
Uh-oh.
Besides, AK Yearling always sends me a copy.
Well, I'm
Another
happy to
Daring
let
Do
you borrow
episode?
mine until yours arrives.
The true story of the thieving fraud known as Daring Do?
Wait,
What?
what?
Why would AK Yearling write that about herself?
Oh, it looks like she didn't. This book says it's by Groom QQ Martingale.
Who?
I guess he's a new writer.
A bad one? The only thing worse than Daring Do's destruction of temples is her cruelty to the mild-mannered Dr. Caballeron?
It was written from his point of view. I figured it was an artistic choice.
Or like a disaster? Listen, Daring Do isn't just a fictional character from over-the-top adventure stories. I've met her, and she is a real live pony.
Oh no!
Secret! We are the only ones who know Daring Do is really a yearling in disguise. But if other ponies read this book,
Well, this is a
how will it
twist.
take them to figure that out. We have to go warn her. Fluttershy!
Oh, sorry.
That cute grin. Okay, who is this writer, and how does he or she know about this, and, like, what, my first thought here was that it's actually a book written by Dr. Caballeron to try and discredit Daring Do and ruin her image reputation, but how would he know that she's AK Yearling? So... Also, wow, I did not expect another Daring Do episode in all of this here. So, is the truth finally going to come out on this, or...?
Yearling is signing all her books at the bookstore today. We can warn her about what's going on.
That's convenient.
Don't you think you should read Martingale's book first?
Title here.
Just to hear both sides of the story?
Why?
Daring
The only
Doubt.
true thing in that pack of
Oh, Nicole
lies
Dubuque.
is that Daring Do is real.
There's also a lot of insight into Dr. Caballeron's life choices. Did you know he's actually a history professor and amateur bird watcher?
Are you serious right now?
Maybe it was written by Dr. Caballeron.
Crushes our friend and exposes her secret, and you want to talk about birds?
Also spider cruelty.
What?
I have to admit, Daring Do wrecks a lot
Spider
of spider
cruelty.
webs in her adventures.
Oh, come on!
Order to save precious artifacts from the bad guy, who you seem to have forgotten is Dr. Caballeron. Are you sure you read the same series I did? Well,
This is an unexpected twist. I don't know.
No, Martingale's book
to
is
say.
bogus.
I'm not sure those are all fans.
Why didn't your book say Daring Do is real? This changes everything.
What? Oh,
Why are you only
no.
right about her good side? Is she bribing you?
On page 531, it says Daring Do kicks puppies.
She does?
What?
No! Look, are any of you here for my actual book signing?
Probably not. Nah.
Frankly, I don't even know how you could call it fiction if it's all real. You're as much of a fake as Daring Do.
Oh! Harsh.
We're a little late to warn you about the new book.
A little bit.
I always feared that someday every pony would learn Daring Do was real.
But why? Aren't you proud of your adventures?
Of course, but I'm not in it for the fame. The stories just seem too good to keep to myself. I wish I knew who this Martingale author was, and why he's determined to ruin my character. And me!
Maybe we can ask him.
No way! He's
Really?
signing across the street!
You'd better go without me. I can't risk the chance Martingale might recognize
It can't
me as
possibly
Daring
be
Do.
Quibble Pants. I don't see that. You just cut the line, like, majorly.
Excuse us.
It's Caballero! I was right!
It's Dr. Caballero in disguise! Now it all makes sense. Daring
Oh,
Do's
man.
arch-nemesis created a fake author self so he can write books that make him sound like a hero. Who does that?
A.K. Yearling?
This is totally different. Well, well, well. Up to your old tricks again, huh? Just like in Somnambula.
Or,
Spreading
wait, this
lies
is
that
too
Daring
easy.
Do look bad.
Would you sign our book?
I am just a simple author, telling it like it is. Who should I make it out to?
Fluttershy, not your tease.
We know who you really are. And unless
Was
you
there any
want
other
to
spelling
know them,
available?
you better answer some questions.
I'm afraid that's all we have time for today. But please, take a free copy of my book on your way out.
Yeah, that, like, on one hand it seems too fishy, on the other hand, something really smells here.
We're not gonna let you get
Or
away
it
with
seems
this,
too obvious, but
Caballero.
it also smells
Get
fishy.
away
I don't know.
with what? I'm merely telling my side.
Yeah, okay, it is. It is.
He's lying.
You think everything in A.K. Yearling's books are true? Daring Do and the Quetzal's Crest, she states that the fangthorn flowers are red. In fact, they are blue.
It's true. They are.
Okay, some artistic license.
Mistake.
It is
Still, if that
fiction,
is
after
wrong,
all.
Is it not possible that other bigger things are too? Take a look. It's in my book.
But I don't have to take your word for it. Come on, Fluttershy.
Something wrong?
It is terrible being misunderstood. It is true, in the past I have not been as nice to Daring Do as I should. But I have my reasons.
Want to talk about what happened?
My team and I were only ever interested in researching artifacts and taking them to our museum where other ponies could study them.
I have my doubts, but I'm willing to
But Daring
give them the
Do
benefit of the
always
doubt.
seemed to get there first with our own plans. I offered to team up with her, but she refused. She had her own ideas of where the treasures belong.
Daring Do did have a lot of artifacts on her shelves at home, but didn't you try to sell them to the highest bidder?
Only because I had to. Since Daring Do kept taking our artifacts, our museum closed. We were desperate for money to keep it open.
Whoa. These flashbacks. How he's Odal again.
She does destroy a lot of ancient sites, not to mention the homes of the animals that live there.
And I felt it was my duty to tell the world. Thank you for listening and understanding, Ms.
Fluttershy, two T's.
And I
Again,
am
why is
the
that
Cavalier.
even...
Martingale is merely a nom de plume to build my brand.
No.
My team could use an insightful Pegasus like you, Fluttershy. Have you ever thought of being an adventurer?
Who, me?
Not really. Okay.
Finally! What took you so long?
I decided to find out which author is really telling the truth, so I joined Dr. C's Tenochtitlan expedition.
Oh my...
Say what?
Oh, this is going places.
The Daring Do
Wow.
doesn't get puppies?
That was one time! Accidentally!
AK, you have to help me! Group QQ Martingale is really Dr. Caballero, and he has Fluttershy! The book thing was his new plan to ruin Daring Do's reputation. And he's trying to make my friend a criminal! They're off to Tenochtitlan right now!
He must be after the truth talisman.
Sounds like a
I
great new
told
story.
you. It requires the wings of a Pegasus to retrieve it.
That's gotta be why Caballero tricked Fluttershy into joining his gang!
It's up to us to stop him.
You did that right in front of... Well, the cat's really out of the bag now. Oh, that hat is adorable.
Watch
Oh.
where you put your hooves, every pony. We do not want to disturb the fragile jungle ecosystem.
Right.
That's so thoughtful.
Yes, unlike Daring Do, who slashes plants aside with a cruel machete.
Thank you.
What kind of...
Fool!
Wow.
Don't you know that's poison? I don't want you to get hurt, my friend.
But I'm hungry.
Oh, I can help with that. Here.
And, of course she has a picnic lunch.
Of course. That's part of the fun of having an adventure with friends.
Uh-oh. Nice kitties. Yes! Yes! I wanted to see him again! Man, epic callbacks here. And she's just gonna, yeah, talk to the kitties.
That's a common misconception. Have you ever tried just talking to them?
Crazy! You are
You're kind of alone in that ability, Fluttershy. Same.
We're very sorry for coming into your territory. We're just passing through.
How did you do that?
Every creature likes to be listened to. You just
Aw.
need to take the time to understand them.
You are more talented than I realized.
Thanks. I'm having the best time with you all.
Fluttershy must be
Oh, this is poor, sweet, naive little Fluttershy.
We need to catch up to them before they reach the truth talisman.
Why? What's so special about it?
It has the power to make the pony holding it tell the truth. But
Oh!
made solid gold. He'll melt it down and use it to get rich.
Oh, we're gonna get some hard truth at the end of this.
Why didn't you already save it? You said only a Pegasus can get it, right?
Yes, but the temple traps are far too dangerous to face without a map. And maybe even with one.
Ooh. Difficulty level extreme.
Boss, how about we take the shortcut?
How about you be quiet? I mean, no thank you, Biff. Let's just follow the map.
Oh, I'm supposed to be Dr. C's second in command. He never listens to me.
Aw.
Well, keep trying. I believe in you.
Fluttershy is a walking inspirational poster.
Now we simply have to wait for the sun to reach its highest point. And our path will be revealed.
Oh.
Withers, don't move.
Uh-oh. What are those things? Oh, wait, those are those spider bee things, aren't they? I think we saw those back in
Catch them before they enter the temple.
that sister camping trip. I can't remember the episode. Ooh.
Get back, Rainbow Dash! Yeah, it's how we Zodal.
Daring Do, my old nemesis. You may have outsmarted my jungle cats, but you cannot escape!
Wow.
We didn't.
Sorry, my mind was wandering there for a second. Awizoodle.
We're just here to rescue Fluttershy.
It must be a coincidence that only a Pegasus can retrieve Tonatiuh's treasure. And there are two of you here.
Okay, so how is this all gonna play out? I'm so confused as to where this is going. Whoa.
Quickly, before the sun moves and it closes!
Huh. And... Oh! Gotta get the hat.
That was cutting it close.
Haven't we seen this room before?
We'll have to guess which way to go.
Hmm. That seems dangerous. And there goes the cobweb.
No! I knew the truth talisman could not be moved by magic, but I never realized we'd have to fly to retrieve it.
Right.
It has been for nothing.
Don't be upset. I can get it.
Oh, Fluttershy, you are too kind. but I could never ask that of you. It might be dangerous.
I want to do it for all of you, my new friends, and to protect.
I smell a trap.
Treasure.
Yep. That was immediate.
Give me a hook here!
What the? Okay. Ah! Oh! Whoa! That was way too close for comfort.
We did it! You're safe!
Thanks, every pony.
Give us the talisman, Caballeron! We're not
And now he's gonna be forced to tell the truth?
Wait! You don't understand. My friends are researchers. They only want to study the talisman and keep it safe in a museum. Right, Dr. C?
Sure.
No.
So now that he's holding Tonatiuh's talisman, he has to tell the truth.
Admit it,
This is
Caballeron.
backfiring spectacularly.
Pretending to like Fluttershy because she has the wings you needed to steal the truth talisman. Isn't that right?
No! I admit that was the original reason.
Wait.
But my hench ponies and I have come to value your friendship and kindness.
Didn't see that.
Say what? No!
Or that.
Oh yeah, the twist here.
Intruders! And you dare to steal Tonatiuh's talisman?
Huh.
Guardian Goyles, attack!
Oh! That... I'm expecting fan art of that. Gargoyle ponies, that's a new one.
Fluttershy! Can't you ask them to stop like the jungle children?
They're not ordinary animals.
Excuse me? Guardian Goyles?
It's no good. They're only stone and magic, not alive. I encountered some like this in Maripor.
Ah, yes. I seem to recall similar creations in Flank Ladesh.
Oh, how do you get rid of them?
Okay.
I know they don't like bright light.
There's
Oh.
nothing here.
Not yet. Caballeron, do you still have the diamond of Lapis Lux?
Oh,
Yes, I mean... yes, how did you know I stole it?
Look at
Aw.
this. Hold it high.
Ooh.
Wow.
Nice.
This is a great team.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
No kidding.
Now it's time to escape.
If we want to get out of here, we're all gonna have to work together.
That's actually a good idea.
Sure, why not?
Told you he'd listen.
A truce until we escape? How can we trust you?
I cannot lie. Now,
This
all
is true.
together.
The grin on Dutch's face.
You again!
Oh boy. Final boss still. And yep, now she's gonna have to.
James, I will get out my pinnacle deck!
This way! Rainbow Dash!
I'm gonna need the deluxe spa package after this adventure. If that doesn't leave this temple.
Deluxe spa package! Yes. What happens in the temple stays in the temple.
That's it! I'm quitting the hench pony business to finally follow my dreams of becoming an opera star.
Okay.
Maybe you should hold this.
You cannot hide in there forever! It's a dead end!
Uh-oh.
Always Oda won't give up until he catches us.
Is there a trapdoor somewhere?
I think our problem is the solution.
Wait, what?
Did you forget there's a monster out there that wants to crush us?
But why? No pony ever asked Aoizoto what his side of the story is. He must have a reason for being so upset.
Okay.
Maybe he's just a bad guy. Do I need to remind you he tried to squash Daring Do like 100 times?
As well, I was so scared I had to change my ascot. Yes, curse this
understanding begins with listening.
Prepare to meet your doom!
Not really. Just here to ask, why are you chasing us, Mr. Awizodel?
Well, the thing is, I'm in charge of protecting this jungle. If another artifact goes missing on my watch, I'm going to be in so much trouble with the other guardian creatures.
Wait, what?
That sounds like a lot of responsibility.
What guardian creatures?
It is! And those two have taken so many relics from my land. My job is on the line. So, maybe I am a little violent and ferocious. Can you blame me?
Really? Well, that's quite a
The
twist.
only reason I've been taking the artifacts is because I thought I was protecting them.
I was stealing them to get rich. But I never realized you had a noble cause. I thought you were just being a monster.
Aww.
I get that a lot.
Maybe there is something to this whole listening to every pony thing.
It doesn't always mean they're telling the truth, but every creature deserves kindness.
Aww.
And because you returned the talisman and took the time to understand me, I will let you all go.
Okay. That was way easier than it should have been, but...
You swear to never steal artifacts from the Tenochtitlan Basin again.
I promise. I'll even write that in my next book.
Your next book?
Uh-oh.
You mean you're actually AKing?
Oh, no!
That gives me an idea.
Hey,
Oh,
what's
boy.
going on?
Co-authored. I knew it!
Bring out a ton of fans.
We've been upstaged by a new author.
What?
And so the noble Awizotl bravely toiled day and night to protect the jungle's precious artifacts.
I can't even. Well, this episode was different. A lot more twists and turns than I expected. I don't know what to say about this right now. Just stay tuned. I'll be right back. Okay. So, first of all, I just want to offer a formal apology for my lack of attention and focus in the scene where Awizotl appeared. Big missed reaction moment there. Just a little context for you on that. I recently got a new computer set up for myself and moved all my stuff over to it and everything. And I thought I'd got all the settings and stuff all tweaked back in and everything, but it turns out I missed the setting that silences all notifications. And as such, in the middle of my reaction, I had some notifications popping up that kind of caught my eye and distracted me a little bit. And that alone wasn't that big of a deal, but then when that happened, my mind started spinning and thinking about other things like, oh, did I remember to shut off the desktop audio input on the recording application that I'm using? Or am I going to have notification sounds polluting my reaction audio and stuff? So that just kind of caused my mind to drift off for a few seconds there before I forced myself to go back and refocus on the episode. Unfortunately, a lot can happen in just a few seconds' time in these episodes, like the reappearance of an old villain, like Awizotl. And to make matters worse, I was actually kind of sort of halfway aware of what was going on there, or started to become aware as I was pulling my focus back. So I kind of just had some split focus, and once I fully got refocused on the episode, then, like, okay, the moment had already passed where I should have reacted to it, and I realized that. I'm just like, well, what do I say or do now? It's kind of like, oh, yeah, he's back, but okay, whatever, gotta move on. So, yeah, it just kind of created a super awkward situation, and I'm honestly disappointed with myself over this. Again, I very much apologize. I do my best to try and make these reactions the best I can for you. No distractions, no spoilers, etc. So, I'm sorry. But I'm definitely taking steps to make sure that that does not happen again for the rest of my reactions. Now, that aside, what honestly just happened in this episode? I really did not expect another Daring Do story in this final season, and even if I had, I never would have imagined it would be quite so full of all these crazy twists and turns. Don't get me wrong, I love a story that keeps me constantly guessing what's going to happen next, especially when I seem to be so good at predicting the outcomes of these stories at times. That said, some of the twists in this episode didn't really make a whole lot of sense, at least at first, in terms of canon and whatnot, but more on that in a little bit. I'd like to start off with talking about Fluttershy here. Fluttershy just seemed to be acting a bit strange in this episode, at least from my perspective. For starters, I'm uncertain why she had just now become a fan of the Daring Do book series. And it just seems really odd considering how much time has passed since she was made aware both of the books themselves and the fact that Daring Do is actually a real pony. You'd think with all the promotion of the books from Twilight and Dash over the years, she would have picked up the books and read them sooner. Then again, we don't often see her reading all that much, probably because she's so busy caring for all her creatures and such, and now has the school responsibilities as well. I mean, just a few episodes ago, she was clearly quite challenged for time, with the whole situation with Angel there. So maybe now with Angel actually helping out at the animal sanctuary and freeing up some of her time again, she actually has a little bit of time to indulge in some personal entertainment, and decided to give the books a try and got hooked on them. Actually plausible if you think about it. So yeah, a little bit strange at first, but it does kind of make sense after you think about it for a bit. The next thing that seemed off about her was her sudden willingness to jump into this wilderness adventure. I mean, she wasn't just willing, she seemed like she was super excited to go. Fluttershy is not exactly the first individual that comes to mind when I think of wilderness adventures into strange territory, so I was a little confused as to what was going on here. Now, I do understand that Fluttershy essentially has cheat codes because of her ability to talk to and charm practically any kind of wilderness creature, so that part of the adventure likely wasn't too intimidating for her. I also understand that she has matured greatly over the course of the series, something I've talked about a number of different times, and she's now much more bold and self-confident than she used to be, which is fantastic. All that said, she's still Fluttershy, and still has some of those old traits. I found it just a little bit unbelievable that she didn't seem to show any apprehension whatsoever, especially when she was willingly putting herself in harm's way, trying to retrieve that artifact and such. The only times I had ever really remembered when she was willing to charge into strange and dangerous territory and situations like that were, cases where she was trying to help somebody in need, like when the CMCs got lost out in the Everfree Forest way back in Stairmaster in Season 1, and much more recently when Zecora was sick in Health of Information. But all that said, as I was sitting here working on my notes, I suddenly remembered that just earlier this season, she volunteered to go visit the Dragonlands to see the baby dragons, which, of course, being baby creatures there was reason enough for her to override some of her, natural fears and whatnot. But while she was there, she seemed surprisingly comfortable wandering around on her own and wasn't really intimidated by any of the dragons at all. She also handled herself well when she and Applejack went on the Cutie Map adventure to the Kirins. And again, because of how busy she's basically been cooped up at the animal sanctuary and the school for a long time, so she's probably ready for a little vacation time, and then just after she got hooked on the Daring Do adventures, she suddenly finds herself faced with an opportunity to go on an actual Daring Do-esque adventure. Putting all those things together, it now makes so sense why she was so eager and willing to jump at the chance. She's both got the confidence for it and, the drive to go have some fun after being, tied up with other responsibilities for so long. And of course, it was also an opportunity for her to help resolve the conflict between Daring Do and Cabaleron, and Fluttershy is quite good at conflict resolution. Obviously, she wanted to give Cabaleron the benefit of the doubt and give him a chance to prove himself, which, of course, is quite admirable. And let's be honest here, Daring Do did seem to be taking maybe a little bit of creative license when describing her adventures in her books. Or at the very least, had some of the details become a little bit fuzzy, just, the oversight there. So it's entirely possible that there were some things in there that weren't 100% accurate, another perspective that needed to be heard. And actually, just a side note on that here, I do kind of wish that this truth artifact had been used a little bit more in this episode. I mean, the lines of dialogue from characters like Rainbow Dash and the Hench Pony were great for comic relief and such, but I was actually kind of hoping to see Daring Do herself affected more by it at some point. Even though she's clearly a very good pony, it's not inconceivable to think that she might have exaggerated the truth in some of her books, painting a worse picture of Cabaleron than he actually deserved. That in turn could have fueled Cabaleron's resentment of her, because, he's aware that these books exist, obviously, based on this episode, and him reading about himself in these books, might not be all true, and he could be mad about that, very much so. So, and that just could have unnecessarily, escalated their personal conflict to even higher levels than it was before. So, if that had happened, then, this had happened where Daring Do had some truth come out here about how she had kind of exaggerated things a little bit, then both of them would have had to admit some hard truths here, and their decision to become friends and co-author a new book together would have been even a lot more meaningful. Of course, that also would have kind of changed the moral lesson of the story a little bit, so I can understand why it didn't actually go that way, but I still wish that at least some fault of Daring Do's would have been exposed, because frankly, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, even when we have the best of intentions, so it would have been fun to explore that a little bit more here, but I digress. So back to Fluttershy. My biggest issue with her was just how she seemed to be so gullible in this episode. Now, granted, since I've established that she is much more self-confident now and doesn't seem to have a big problem with going on adventures, and also, also has several motives for making this trip, it's entirely possible that she was fully aware of the possibility that Cabaleron was up to no good, but still wanted to go through with it anyway. It bugs me a little bit that her actions in the episode don't seem to actually reflect this. She didn't appear to raise a single eyebrow at anything they were saying or doing for the whole trip, and worst of all, she seemed to be genuinely surprised and hurt when the truth came out that they weren't just honorable researchers trying to protect the artifacts. Again, I can certainly understand and very much appreciate her wanting to give them the benefit of the doubt and offering her hospitality and encouragement, as any good friend would. But it just seems a little odd that she was completely ignoring all the potential danger that she was getting herself into. After all, with all her past experiences with Discord, she should have been well aware of the possibility that the trust that she put in Cabaleron would be broken at some point. I guess you can kind of chalk this up to being one of Fluttershy's continuing character flaws, where she's a bit too trusting of others at times. And it's a flaw that she's been aware of in the past, too, because back in Keep Calm and Flutter On in Season 3, the very episode where Discord initially was getting reformed, she outright accused the rest of the main six of thinking that she's just a silly, gullible fool. So, again, she's very much aware that she has this issue at times, a little self-conscious about it even. And admittedly, it's not exactly the worst character flaw to have, and it does seem to allow her to be much more willing to put trust in others and give them a chance when nobody else will, just as we saw once again in this episode. I just wish that for her own sake, she would at least be a bit more wary of the potential danger. It's entirely possible to still give others a decent chance to prove themselves while also taking steps to protect yourself from being taken advantage of. Now, moving on to the villains. Believe it or not, after I went back and rewatched some of the older Daring Do episodes, which I had not seen in quite a long time, I actually feel like Cabaleron's claim of once being an honest archaeologist and having to resort to stealing artifacts for money actually holds some water. Based on what he said in those past stories, I think he actually could be the kind of pony that fell on hard times and, upon resorting to desperate measures, got too caught up in the lifestyle of a thief and all the profits and pleasures and everything that came with it and lost sight of his principles. Awizotl, on the other hand, as far as I can tell, he's just flat out an evil villain. not a misunderstood protector of artifacts, as he claimed in this episode. And thus, we kind of have a bit of a major continuity issue here. You know, he first appeared in Read It and Weep way back in Season 2. And in that case, he was quite clearly an evil villain that tried to basically kill Daring Do by leaving her in the mother of all cliche temple trap rooms. Giant spikes, spiders, snakes, quicksand, the whole 9 yards. Now, granted, his portrayal at that point was based purely on Rainbow Dash's reading of one of Daring Do's books, and therefore it might not have been 100% accurate. But then, in Daring Don't in Season 4, the main six actually met Awizotl in real life, and just like in Read It and Weep, he captured Daring Do and left her in a temple trap room where she would have been dead within a few minutes, this time by drowning, if not for a heroic escape of some kind. Even assuming, for the sake of argument, that he is a protector or guardian of some kind, the simple fact of the matter is that he's tried multiple times to kill Daring Do, which even Rainbow Dash felt the need to point out to Fluttershy in this very episode. And he's also threatened to subject the entire region to 800 years of unrelenting heat, seemingly unprovoked, for some kind of evil purpose that I don't believe was ever really fully explained. These are not the actions of someone who is merely misunderstood and just trying to prevent artifacts from being stolen by archaeologists. Also, if he really was just trying to protect the artifacts, which I don't buy for a second at this point, why did he never make any attempt to actually explain this to Daring Do and Kabeleron? Now, if you really want to stretch this like saltwater taffy, you could make the argument that, just like Kabeleron, Awizotl reached a breaking point somewhere along the way and abandoned his principles. Yeah, it seems like he's very much afraid of the other guardians, whoever they are, maybe the Sphinx for one, not really sure. And since so many artifacts have gone missing under his watch, which they apparently are holding him responsible for, perhaps he passed a breaking point somewhere along the way and began doing whatever he felt was necessary to protect the remaining artifacts, including eliminating those who keep stealing them. Before that, maybe he wouldn't have actually ever taken it that far, but just got so fed up with being defeated by the likes of Daring Do so many times that he started taking more drastic measures. And the 800 years of unrelenting heat, maybe that was just a move made out of desperation that was intended to keep the artifact thieves away from the Tenochtitlan Basin, assuming the effect would have been actually just localized to that area. But honestly, he really only seemed to be concerned with the artifacts themselves, not so much the environment, so he probably maybe didn't actually even care about destroying the ecosystem if it meant keeping temple robbers away. I mean, extreme heat probably wouldn't, as long as it wasn't enough to actually melt the artifacts or something, it probably wouldn't have hurt them too much down in the temples. So, like I said, this is kind of a major stretch, but I guess you can explain anything away if you try hard enough. But, even assuming that that's exactly what happened, that still doesn't in any way excuse trying to kill Daring Do or destroy the environment. So I don't really like the fact that he not only got off with hardly a slap on the wrist even, but also managed to upstage Daring Do and Kabeleron with a new storybook of his own. For all the bad stuff he's done, to not have to suffer any consequences at all, and even come out on ahead of them, is just really frustrating to me. And overall, his reformation was just very rushed, and apparently was done just to prove Fluttershy's point. And what stinks is that I don't think that was even actually necessary to do. Given that both Kabeleron and Awizotl were involved here, it could have very easily been written in such a way that Kabeleron was misunderstood and Awizotl wasn't, which would have both proven Fluttershy's point, and also made it clear that some people are just downright evil, and no amount of listening to them or offering of olive branches will change any of that. Now, of course, I understand that the primary message here was intended to be that everyone deserves a chance to be heard and understood, and that message was received loud and clear. It's very true that in this world that we live in, this very broken world that we live in, there are far too many people that want to generalize and jump to conclusions and not listen to all sides of the story with an open mind. If there were more people willing to do that, we likely wouldn't have so many conflicts going on in the world right now that are just fueled by raw emotions and incorrect assumptions and all manner of problems. Now, that doesn't mean you have to agree with everything that you hear, but opening up yourself to listening to somebody else's perspective can lead to increased understanding of both sides of a conflict, and perhaps open up pathways to new perspectives and compromise that wouldn't otherwise exist. But there are also times where some people just wish you harm for whatever reason, no matter how much you try to listen to them or reason with them. That doesn't necessarily mean you don't try to still be kind, but there comes a point where you have to accept that these people intend to hurt you, and you must take steps to protect yourself from them if your attempts at kindness are ultimately rejected. I think the solution is honestly somewhere in the middle of these two extremes that we saw. Focusing on Dr. Cabaleron for the moment, Daring Do and Rainbow Dash were perhaps too judgmental of him based on past experiences, and weren't willing to at least give him the benefit of the doubt and hear him out, or even to just try to show him that there's a better way and convince him to give up his evil ways. Fluttershy, on the other hand, was, in my opinion, a little too willing to assume that he was telling the truth, and while it's admirable that she befriended him and his hench ponies the way that she did, and succeeded in showing them a better path, there was a very real chance that she could have gotten seriously hurt by not allowing herself to even consider the possibility that they were just using her, which they were. Again, maybe she was aware of this the whole time, but it didn't really seem like it to me. And yeah, as far as the danger goes, that lava trap was no joke. But I mean, even physical dangers aside, just the way that she appeared to be very hurt emotionally when Cabaleron was forced to admit the truth, that's just something she didn't really need to subject herself to, if she'd been a little bit more wary of that possibility. Somewhere in the middle of this is a position where you can be cautiously optimistic and attempt to be understanding and supportive of someone, while still being wary of the potential for harm. I believe that middle ground is what we should all be aiming for in our interactions with others. In a nutshell, be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brains fall out. I know that's a quote from somewhere. I'm not sure where. I didn't take time to look it up, but it's just something I recalled hearing one time. And, and Fluttershy did finally actually make this point in a way when she said, they're not always telling the truth, but every pony deserves kindness. She's right that everyone deserves to be shown kindness, and she definitely shines in her role as the bearer of the element of kindness. That is very clear and obvious. She just needs to work a little bit on considering the possibility that things won't always magically work out just, because she befriends someone. Even though she has a stellar track record of doing that, there's always that chance that things won't quite go right. So, anyway, I was kind of written off the Awizotl bit of the story now, especially with that absurd ending where he's a published author and whatnot. But as for Dr. Cabaleron, I actually really do love the fact that he seems to have turned over a new leaf now and is co-authoring this book with Daring Do. It seemed like a pretty logical next step for them, just the way everything turned out here. Of course, I do have to wonder if this is just another way for him to try and make a lot of money and whatnot, but I guess there's honestly really nothing wrong with that, as long as he's doing it honestly and doesn't try to turn it into another scheme of some kind, like, trying to swindle Daring Do out of her portion of the profits from the sales of the book or something. That's something I could certainly see Flim and Flam trying to pull off, but I'd like to think that Cabaleron is actually better than that. He's never really struck me as like the pure evil type of character like Awizotl did. But if he really was telling the truth about how he used to be all about protecting and preserving artifacts and was forced to start selling them for profits just to support himself and whatnot, perhaps now he will go back and start living by the principles that he abandoned so long ago. That would be great. Of course, one has to wonder what kind of adventures the two of them will even get into now, for more books, more material, now that they both promised to stay away from the Tenochtitlan Basin. But I'm sure there's a lot of other places they can go to where they can find new adventures and such. I mean, as we saw in the movie, there's lots of undiscovered lands outside the borders of Equestria, so who knows. Whatever ends up happening, I wish the two of them well on future adventures. Unfortunately, we'll probably never get to seen or hear any of them. I mean, I don't know if the chapter books for Daring Do are going to keep going or not. If there's going to be any more we know there's going to be more comics. Don't know if there will be Daring Do stories in the comics, but if nothing else, there's always fanfics. Anyway, that's all I got in this one. Definitely a very interesting episode. This was kind of challenging to write the commentary on, because just some of the complexities of Fluttershy's character and the wackiness with Always Odal and whatever. I had to go back and dig up some old source material to try and fully wrap my head around this one. But it's been an interesting one, fun one, and I would definitely watch it again. It's not the greatest episode, but still a really good fun episode overall. As far as Daring Do episodes go, I'll just gotta say, Stranger Than Fan Fiction, bar none, is the best Daring Do adventure, period, of all the Daring Do episodes in this series. That one will not be beat. But anyway, gotta wrap this one up. Thanks for watching, everyone, and hopefully I'll see you again very soon for the next episode. Later.